Oh, bollocks. So in case you missed it, biggest air quotes in the world, won the opportunity to compete against Ollie for Pete's Jam That Championship at the next major WWE show. Unfortunately, that major show is Crown Bloody Jewel, bloody being an expletive and a descriptor. Crown Jewel is WWE's first Saudi show since the pandemic, and God, how I secretly hoped that the pandemic had somehow made WWE's contract with the Saudi regime evaporate, but no, here we go again. These shows, for a number of different reasons, suck. First, because they're corporate deference to a regime that murders journalists and doesn't have a definition of human rights in their dictionary, but also these shows they suck. They're glorified house shows, but at least at house shows nothing's booked to happen, so all the baby faces go over and people try to at least have an uncomplicated good time. At these toilet brush foul smelling extravaganzas, not only are the cards mostly terrible, but they routinely come coupled with some flabbergastingly bad booking decisions. There have been only 5 Saudi shows, but even then, this was a hard list to make. That's how uniformly arse these shows are. I don't want to watch Crown Jewel, but seeing as I have to, you all have to suffer with me. I'm Adam, hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are the 10 worst WWE matches to happen in Saudi Arabia. Please like and subscribe. I had to watch a bunch of Saudi Arabia matches for this. Please subscribe. Number 10, Shane McMahon versus Dolph Ziggler, Crown Jewel 2018. AKA the match where a chub of baloney was crowned the best wrestler in the world, and like all true dads, he did it in his jeans. The entire tournament was a bit topsy-turvy because, lest we forget, a tournament to crown, and it bears repeating, the best wrestler in the world. It had wrestlers featuring Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, and Randy Orton. That came down to Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz, which is like a best film ever tournament coming down to Mission Impossible 2 versus Ice Age. Fine, but come on. Miz suffered a bad case of kayfabe and had to forfeit the match, but Shane McMahon, who cares so much about your entertainment that he repeatedly charges you to watch him wrestle, took off his jacket, put up his famously terrible dukes, and beat Ziggler very quickly. And so, the best wrestler in the world was crowned amidst much rejoicing 1 month to the day after the death of Jamal Khashoggi. These shows, and it gets worse from here. Number 9, the Tuwaiq Gauntlet Super Showdown 2020. Man, the Undertaker's had a rough go of it under this Saudi deal, constantly thrown around like a snot-nosed kid bashing his favorite toy against the floor. Who do you like? Vince asks the Saudis. We like the Undertaker. Can he still wrestle? Says Vince, looking over at Taker in his hospital bed. More machine now than man. Yeah, kind of. These shows have all but eradicated the final vestiges of the dead man's precarious prestige. The worst matches are yet to come in this list, and I bet you can guess them, but let's talk about the Tuwaiq Trophy Gauntlet, a match tired day from beyond the grave, won with a single bad-looking chokeslam despite not being in it, then pissing off back to have a lie in a hammock without even taking the trophy with him. The rest of the match that preceded Taker beating AJ Styles for no reason other than to build heat for him beating AJ Styles at WrestleMania was really bad and boring too, with R-Truth knocking off Bobby Lashley by tripping him over, beating Andrade by f***ing accident, and then Eric Rowan by DQ. What a nail-biter. Thanks for lasting 20 goddamn minutes. Number 8, Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman, Crown Jewel 2018. So, in the wake of Roman Reigns vacating the Universal title after revealing that his leukemia had returned, WWE advertised Lesnar versus Strowman for the title. For context, Brock Lesnar had held the title for a year and a half, and fans were happy to have the title on weekly TV again. Braun had just had his momentum crushed with a botched heel turn, being screwed by Brock out of his briefcase cash-in. Also, Strowman had already lost to Lesnar the year before, so Strowman wins in a layup, right? Oh, you don't know Saudi Arabia. It's like Brock's paid by the hour in Saudi. WWE get him in and out faster than Jim from American Pie. Corbin clocks Strowman with the belt. Lesnar F5s him. Strowman kicks out. Another F5. Another kick out. Another F5. Another kick out. Just please f***ing end this. Another F5. Another F5. And finally, it's over. The match is an angle, but WWE still managed to stretch it out over 3 boring, anger-inducing minutes in a move that was probably designed to protect Braun, but ended up just having us watch him get his ass planted over and over again. Awful. I hate this. I hate it. Number 7, Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez, Crown Jewel 2019. On the premiere episode of SmackDown on Fox, WWE booked Brock Lesnar to beat Kofi Kingston in one move so he could have enough time to run an angle with the debuting Cain Velasquez. Oh wow, said WWE in all caps in Comic Sans. How exciting. At Crown Jewel, Rey Mysterio brought his other gigantic son down to the ring. Big fight feel, and that big fight was 2 boring cuddles, 1 kick, and then you're done, with Velasquez tapping out to the Kimura, not even on fucking camera. You know what's good about wrestling being fake? Is that you can plan exciting things and then make those exciting things happen. This match was the first and only one to feature Cain Velasquez before the company went on to release him 6 months later. Bloody hell, thanks for coming. The show was partially sold on this 2 minutes. At least Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman went a little longer. Wasn't a lot better, but at least it was a thing. This was nothing. Sorry, Kofi. Number 6, Shane McMahon versus Roman Reigns, Super Showdown 2019. The best wrestler in the world versus the big dog. A sellout no matter which arena you book it in. Crikey Moses, this match though. 10 minutes that felt like 20. Also, Shane McMahon dominates Roman Reigns with his crappy little punches like a cat batting a piece of paper around a table. Sure, it's mostly down to McIntyre interference, but so much of this match is Shane drenched in sweat, looking like Paulie from The Sopranos after he's been chased by dogs through a rainstorm, pink to the point of kidney failure, praying to his dad that his heart won't explode, holding Roman Reigns in endless rest holds while the crowd dies and dies and dies. Look at him. Look at him trying to be MMA on Roman. It's like a CEO paying his fitness instructor to just let him beat him up for 10 minutes because he's in a midlife crisis. And then at the end of it, Shane McMahon wins. He beats Roman. After constantly beating The Miz for months on end, he knocks off the big pup too. God damn, it would be fun if it wasn't so head in your hands boring, which it is. It really is. And it's only the third worst match at Super Showdown 2019. What's the second? That would be number 5, Lars Sullivan versus Lucha House Party, Super Showdown 2019. I hate everyone and everything, but especially this match, but especially Bart. Lars Sullivan debuted on the main roster in April 2019 and proceeded to have only one notable feud, a woeful series of matches against Lucha House Party, a stable made up of Kalisto, Gran Metalik, and Lince Dorado. And the tagline for that stable might as well have been, "F*** you, Cruiserweight Classic." Before Sullivan got injured in that feud, benching him for over a year, they had this match at Super Showdown 2019, and to call it the drizzling shit would be to give IBS a bad name. A 3-on-1 handicap match wherein the baby faces cheat in order to gang up on the monster heel, ending the match in a DQ. Just let that booking sink in for a little bit. What's the point? What's the point of any of that? The 5 minutes that lead up to one of the worst finishes on a major WWE show would be a grim omen for the kind of wrestling that would take place a year later, because the match occurs to absolute silence, broken only by LHP's ill-fated attempts to get a lucha chant going. It's genuinely painful to watch as Sullivan manhandles the babyfaces. Literally the only thing of interest is Corey Graves on commentary describing Lars as something Hannibal Lecter dreamed up in a lab. That's not who Hannibal Lecter is! To which Michael Cole responded, "Good point." Jesus wept. Number 4, Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet, Super Showdown 2020. How can a promotion waste Ricochet? How'd you screw that up? One of the most imaginative and awe-inspiring high flyers, not only of his generation, but all time. How'd you bollocks up someone that talented this bad? At Super Showdown 2020, which is probably one of the most baffling pay-per-views WWE have ever produced, WWE booked Ricochet to challenge Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship, and everyone around the world thought one thing: Ricky's not gonna win this one, but it'll be super fun to see what kind of Cirque du Soleil flippies he can pull off against a base as strong as Brock Lesnar. How wrong we were. Brock Lesnar, doing what he does best in Saudi, which is turn up, win, and piss off immediately, buried Ricochet. The word buried is overused in wrestling journalism, often used to create undue emotion around a fairly standard loss. That is what a burial truly is. Horrific booking. Why not just have a match? You're both there. Just have a fucking match. Maddening. And speaking of rage, number 3, Goldberg versus The Fiend, Super Showdown 2020. I mean, what do you say about this? It hasn't been said in 1,000 ways and 1,000 songs, all of which have the same lyrics, which is just grown adults sobbing into their hands, wondering why they pay their monthly subscription to the stupidest wrestling company in the world. What else can you say about a match where the unstoppable final boss you've been building for half a year, even booking that terrible Hell in a Cell finish to showcase his unstoppability, just so he beefs it when confronted with the world's most redundant gimmick and gets fed his own giant clown shoes the month before WrestleMania? Please, what is the point? Please, even without the worst booking decision of the year, the match is so bad. Spears, mandible claws, and a botched jackhammer. That's your lot. That's your main event. And somehow, some way, it's not Goldberg's worst Saudi Arabia match. That would be number 2, Goldberg versus The Undertaker, Super Showdown 2019. There are sentimental reasons keeping it off the top spot, but this really should be number 1. It is one of the worst matches of all time. It's a match so bad that even WWE have included it in documentaries that they have made, talking about how truly overwhelmingly awful it is. The type of bad where it transcends lack of heat, lack of logic, and crosses over into the very worst place where it's simply dangerous. Genuinely, really dangerous to book these two in this heat to have this match. And no wrestling fan in their right mind wants to see that kind of danger. Goldberg concusses himself, then nearly breaks Undertaker's neck. It is not hyperbolic to say this was a few rotations away from being the Phenom's last match and ending his career in the most horrific way possible. Undertaker hates this match. Goldberg hates it so much he needed to eat Ziggler at SummerSlam just as a form of redemption. Even WWE hates it. But me personally, there is one more match I hate just that little bit more. Number 1, DX versus Brothers of Destruction, Crown Jewel 2018. They brought Shawn Michaels out of retirement for this. Now look, I know that wrestlers retire and unretire and it's not a big deal, but HBK had one of the few perfect retirements in professional wrestling, something actually inspirational. He went out after the main event of WrestleMania, still reasonably physically fit, with plenty of dream matches still technically possible, but no, the stipulation was honored. Wrestling is just storytelling at the end of the day, at least that's the part of it I care the most about, and Shawn Michaels actually managed to have a story with a beginning, middle, an end until this grotty little epilogue paid for by bad people where he broke retirement for a terrible match. Leave the memories alone. No one came out of this looking good. Not the older generation X who'd looked like they'd gone to their first leather bar to support their son's band and had to hide the fact they hated it there. Not Cain, who got his bloody mask knocked off at one point. And not Taker, once again frustrated in his quest to have one more classic before he hung up his hat. Like, I'm not made of stone. Taker tagging in to square up to HBK is a legit nostalgic moment, but Christ, that is 5 minutes into a match that is half an hour long. Shawn gets "You Still Got It" chants that slowly, over the course of the match, fade to grim silence. And if that doesn't sum up the ugly, dark side of nostalgia that bleeds all over these cash grab shows, what does? See you all at Crown Jewel, everyone! And that's our list. What's your least favorite? Oh, let's not talk about it. Let's talk about something else. Do you like cheese? What's your favorite cheese? Let us know in the comments. And subscribe. We'll be doing the Crown Jewel show for charity at least. So there's that. Jam that jam.